I've been listening to the debate on the floor, and I really could not disagree more with the proponents of this legislation. They would seek to overturn a 40-year record of trying to get people to follow the law. Look at the record of what states have done over the course of the last 100 years dealing with water quality. And it isn't that the federal government overreached and the states had done too much. We have the Clean Water Act because the states consistently failed to meet their obligations. Today, there are wide variations around America in terms of how zealously individual states take their responsibility and how they balance. There's tremendous pressure for short-term economic gain at the expense of the environment. In some parts of the country, it doesn't bother them to bulldoze mountaintops into streams. And in fact, EPA has not been vigilant in dealing with that. It's only been recently that we're starting to have people come to grips with this issue. It is important that EPA has the opportunity to withhold, to have some sanction when states don't follow through on their plans. This bill would take away the ability of EPA to have sanctions. It's important that we have a third party to be able to do some mediation when there are differences between states. This is not something that is combined to Pennsylvania or West Virginia or Oregon, because our waterways are interconnected. They transcend boundaries. We need to have the federal government making sure that at a minimum there are reasonable standards that are enforced and that the plans that one administration on a state level commits to are actually followed through. You don't have to spend very much time on Google to find out that there are places around the country right now where local authorities, where state authorities are not meeting the highest standards of water quality. I strongly suggest that this is a step backward. Luckily, it's not going to be enacted into law. The administration would veto it. I can't imagine it gets very far in the other body. Looking at the list of the organizations, the list that was cited of the people who support this are not the people who have championed clean water. They're the people that want looser restrictions, that want to be able to pollute more, who want to be able to make their own decisions. But the people who care about fish and wildlife, people who care about environmental protection, people who care about the health and welfare of the American public as their first, they are uniformly opposed to this legislation. Mr. Speaker, this is important business. There are economics involved with protecting the environment. In state after state, there's a lot of money to be made by having healthy hunting and fishing. There is money to be saved by having healthy waterways and healthy communities. And if we don't stop the pollution in the first place, then that puts the burden on local communities to spend more on water quality and water treatment. I strongly suggest my colleagues take a hard look at the history of the last 40 years, look at the uneven application of clean water at the state level, look at how judicious approach on the part of the federal government has helped promote compliance. Even the so-called veto power of EPA has been invoked only 13 times in 38 years. This is a bad bill. It should be rejected.